Your heart is free. Have the courage to follow.
All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
What we do in life, it goes in eternity.
No retreat. No surrender.
Well, so here's the video that a couple people have been requesting, and we're just gonna try to make it. It's our first time.
What's the
basically.
topic of this video?
Oh yeah, okay, let's get back to that. The topic of the video is what I was talking about on Snap that kind of got people's attention, and basically it was for people feeling like that they're always kind of chasing something. You feel like the lion chasing the deer forever, and it can be whatever it is, like success or just money, or maybe you already have most things you want but you still don't feel happy about it. There's a lot of different things. Like they have that show, what's that show called? Strange Attraction or something, or Strange Addiction, where people start getting into like really weird stuff, and it's all they're trying to fill a certain gap inside of them. And during this video, I'm not really trying to talk to y'all as an expert, because anybody who knows me knows I'm still only 19, and he's still only 19. But basically, when I talk, I don't want to say as an expert, but I think that there's a lot of things that not only me but Ethan have talked about and stuff. We just kind of have arrived at a lot of points that make a lot of good sense, and always open to you know, having free discussion amongst and just having our open mind for sure, because we know we're still young. And yeah, so basically, back on topic, I'm gonna have to try to work on that some. But people feel like that they have that gap in them, and they think that temporary stuff, like if you hang out with someone and they make you feel real happy and you keep chasing that, or if you you know, you get at a sport and you love that feeling of being successful in that, and then you keep chasing that. That's why you see like people peak in high school and everything, and constantly just always chasing that one moment or moments of feeling like that you matter. But try to put a little religion into it. I don't want to be like too religious. The main thing is you have to try and feel that with God, because the hole you're feeling is a natural hole that humans have felt throughout all time. All the way back to, like, you know, imperialism and all the empires and stuff. What are they chasing was like glory and greatness, and they just want to mean something. But the thing about it is, just like them, and a lot of times now, people are trying to fill that hole inside them with earthly things, not knowing that the earth is imperfect, people are imperfect, and you're gonna get let down by pretty much everything beside God. God's the only thing that's perfect in this world, so whatever it is, you'll even let yourself down. And I think too, when I try to talk about God, it's not like, well, like if you know me or you know Ethan, you know we're not like, we're not like super, I don't know.
We're not religious.
Yeah.
But we are.
We're not like super Christian, like we're gonna preach to you all the time, and like you see some people, and there's nothing wrong with that for sure. I think that's great. But just being, like I said, 19 and seeing what has helped me, and sometimes, because, you know, everyone has struggles, it's just a lot of different struggles, and I think Ethan too, right? You see sometimes you go through a struggle or something. And
Oh yeah, for sure. And then you know, as I'm going through struggles, I'll start straying away from God and start filling in that void that I had filled previously with God. I'll start filling in with other things like video games, you know, pornography, drinking, you know, all that good stuff.
Yeah. I
Or
think,
bad stuff, I should say.
yeah, pretty much like if you think about, for guys at least, everything in middle school or through high school if you're a late bloomer, the bad stuff where you would kind of feel like a bum at the end of the day, all that stuff can keep on if you don't put it in check. Or you can find new stuff, like I said, maybe you're a good athlete or you're a good, really,
Just good at school in general.
just good, yeah, like you're gonna be successful. You're like, man, I'm smart, and you're knocking these things out, and you're like, man, I'm gonna be successful, so I'm gonna focus on that. And again, there's nothing really wrong with that, but whenever you're approaching it, you have to make sure that you know that there's a lot of avenues where you can get let down. If you just try to focus on earthly stuff, like back to athlete, you could be a great athlete, but it's easy to just get in a car accident or something, and that's over for you.
And even if you're a good athlete, that might not even be the will, you know, say if you want to go to professional, that might not even be the will of God, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You might have a different, whole nother path for you. And I think also, too, in a way, when people grow up, they, you know, they have God, but they still feel like there's something missing. And personally, I think a lot of times that could be, you know, they're just not following, you know, the path that God set for them.
Right.
And so there's still, you know, there's still something in them that's, you know, trying to reach out and trying to,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
just try to do their own thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that's also another good,
Yeah.
good void maker.
Yeah, and that's the main thing is like you could do it now when you're young and stuff, but anyways, other people will always, you're like, especially if you try to put your faith in other people, they'll always let you down. Like some of the best people you know, even like pastors or your parents or whatever, they have their flaws too. So if you try to hold that person in such stock, like, you know, they're my go-to, they're never gonna let me down. Well, even those people will let you down sometimes. And depending on people's mind, there's a lot of different people out there. There's a lot of variables. But depending on people's minds, it can affect some people a lot more. Like whereas maybe me and Ethan would be like, oh, well, that person's just, you know, I'm probably not gonna hang out with them. But some people, man, it'll really devastate them to know that this person that they held in such high regard is just like they're gonna let them down, and then to see in the world like, well, there's not really that much good in the world because even these people that I'm trying to hold at such high regard are just letting me down. And that's, you know, I think I heard something where it was like suicide went up like 70% among teens, so that's pretty dang crazy. I think part of it too is like the social media. There's definitely a lot of stuff that's not good that happens on there, just as far as comparing your life to other people's. And you see like, imagine you see like 5 people at the beach and you're just sitting at home and you're like, I'm a bum, but it's not really. It's because like you were at the beach like last year and you posted a picture of that, but just at the time and everything, how you look at it, it can affect you a lot. So, but the main thing about it is that worldly stuff and everything, it can let you down, and it lets a lot of people down, and a lot of people never really get the exposure to, well, maybe they don't get it by choice, which a lot of times does happen, or they don't get it by, they just are not in the area or something, or God has a different plan to get exposed to God and understand stuff at a more in-depth level, because the spiritual world and the spiritual battles that we fight, and it's not like, you know, a physical fight where you're punching and stuff, but it's a mental fight, and anyone can feel that, just the internal struggle, you know, between like stuff you clearly know is good and stuff you clearly know is bad, and deciding how much of the bad you're going to justify, if you're going to go into the good path, but it's harder if you're going to keep doing that day in and day out, being patient and waiting. There's a lot of stuff that we're like, you know, it's hard to do the good things a lot of times just the first time. So now, if you got to stay consistent on it for 3 years or 4 years, just day in and day out, it can get discouraging, you know. You're like, what is this even for? And just lose sight of the light at the end of the tunnel and all that. But the great thing about it, on a positive note, because it's been kind of lower notes, is that God is perfect. And I think it's hard for a lot of people to grasp that God just loves us unconditionally, that He wants to bless us with everything we want, and He doesn't want anything in return, because as humans, a lot of times we're used to dealing with other humans, and I think a lot of people kind of look at God as just like this crazy superhuman, but He's not a human. He created humans, so He's obviously not a human. So when you say that He's all good, He's all loving, and He cares about us and everything, it's totally different from even like a mother's love is nothing compared to how God will care about you. So that's pretty crazy. And the fact that He does want to give you everything that you want, not in the sense that, like, let's say, it's kind of crude.
Hey, yo, Josh, I want a fine woman.
Yeah, that's kind of crude. It's like you see a girl and you're like, I would like to, smash her. Even though that's a little bit, we're gonna get a little, but He's not gonna be like, okay, that, I'm your dad, I'm gonna give you that. But what is the root of that?
Reading the Bible, He'll actually change your desires to reflect His will. Say if you want a fine wife, or you want
Right.
money, whatever you want, either He'll change them, completely erase them, where you don't even have that desire anymore, or maybe you will have that desire and you just have to, mentally that you need to muffle it, because that's not within the boundaries that He set for us.
Yeah,
I think that's also
that's one thing too.
determinant.
It's like, one way I always looked at it is like, if you love God, like if you love your parent, you're gonna wanna make him happy, like how you wanna make your mom proud. That's a great example. It's like you see your mom working hard. I know I've seen that. You just seen that, I know. And you just like you want to make her proud. First of all, well, you should want to do that for God too. And if you don't want to do that, then you don't really love God. But the thing is that He still will love you even if you don't. So, but back to the root of stuff like we're talking about is, if you say that you just want to, smash that girl, or I don't know, whatever. It could be illegitimate things, but the reason behind it is actually a deeper reason. It's kind of like a principle thing. It's like, well, that's a beautiful girl, and that will make you feel better, or just, there's a lot of reasons behind it. It's not just the top, I don't know, what would be a good word? Like the superficial reason of like, I just want to do this for this only. Say whatever it is, like you want to win a video game, or you, like I said, you want to smash a girl, or you want to, go to a party or whatever. The reason to do that is not just because you want to do that. It's because you think it'll bring you like happiness, or it'll make you feel better. Does that make more sense? Yeah.
You're not doing it just to do it. You're doing it
Right.
for a benefit.
Right, so it's like a deeper benefit. It's like, or if you, even like innocent, like you just ask a girl out because you want to date her, because that'll make you happy. I don't know, maybe even a little bit of greed.
Temporary satisfaction.
Temporary satisfaction. So there's a lot of factors, and all the good ones, like say you want to be happy, and say you just want a nice family, you just want to be happy, you want to have enough money to pay all your bills. Like those are all not wrong. And God will address those for you and make sure that all those things are always taken care of. The only thing is that if it's anything illegitimate, like you're feeling greedy and you just like, you're not happy with like whatever, then He's not going to give you more than that. But all the stuff that you do want, He'll give it to you. And a lot of times what I've seen is He'll give it to you in ways that you never really even thought of. So like as humans, we try to plan and we'll say like, I'm going to do this and this and this, and that will equal this, like math. But there's so many factors with people's brains, just everything. And God understands all those factors. As humans, we can't really understand those. So a lot of times what you're looking for is actually going to come from a place that you didn't expect it to come from at all.
You want like a promotion at your job. You work hard for it. You work hard. You put in the hours, you put in the hard work, but then all of a sudden you get laid off for some reason. But then a couple months later, you find like a way better job.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
So it's like at the time, especially too, it can get real discouraging where you're like, I was working so hard, God, and I was, going to church and everything, and then I just got fired. Like, what the heck? And you're gonna get mad at God, but He's like, just wait 2 more weeks, But if you're close enough to Him, He'll actually tell you that in a sense. Like He'll just be like, be patient, something kind of But a lot of times that can get discouraging, one. And two, if you don't understand it at all, you don't have any understanding of like how God works and stuff like that, it can get really discouraging and just, you won't, like I said, a lot of people don't really know a lot of like the Bible and don't understand how God works. So to them on the surface level, it just looks like stuff is messed up. But if they would just get closer to God and put more faith and stuff like that, it would end up working out for them. So that's one thing too is, man, we gotta try to explain. That's what I'm trying to do with this, is just try to explain to people better, not as an expert, but just seeing from personal experience, stuff that has worked and hopefully will work. But it's just like anything, really. It's like working out, for one, is like, you know, every day in and day out. You go for like an hour or hour and a half, and you're putting yourself in situations that your body doesn't like, and in turn you don't like it. But what's the end result is whatever you want out of working out. Yeah, if you want a six pack, or if you want, you know, to like, you can work out fighting if you want to become a better fighter. If you want to just be like functional, you just want to be able to move and stretch and everything. The end result is there, but what do you have to do a lot of times? It took me probably 2 years before I started seeing anything decent where I wanted to get close to when I started working out. So that was 2 years, but the thing is, you can actually see it working a lot of times pretty easily. You know, your weight, you get on that scale every morning. A lot of people try to do that with God, and God's like, you have to be patient, you can't test me, you just have to have faith that I'm working in your life. But it's the same exact concept of where you're putting in the work behind it, and you're waiting, you're being patient, and you just keep putting in work, and you're trusting in God. And like I said, He'll get you to the root of why you do things, the root of, I want to be happy, and I want to be successful, and I want to bless my people, and I want to, you know, do all this stuff that isn't wrong. That he'll still take care of you on that. But like I said, a lot of times it's going to come from an unconventional source where it's like, you wouldn't have ever planned for it. Even as being humans and as we're smart, you just wouldn't have planned for that to come from that area. So that's real important to remember too.
A good tip as you're developing your relationship with God, you know, just talk with Him, ask Him for stuff within His parameters of His will. You know, if you don't know, like, so say, like right now, I'm at a point where I don't know what my will is, you know, so now I'm constantly asking, you know, give me signs. And good pastor that I'm, David Pawson, he says, you know, just ask for it clearly, you know, and he'll give you a sign, whether somebody says, or a strong feeling, a strong gravitation towards something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to do. Just talk with Him. You have an influence over God's how He thinks. You know, how things go out. I think you do have influence.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Especially if it's involving yourself.
I heard an analogy on that was like with your parent, that you gotta ask him like at the store, like, can I have this toy? Otherwise they don't really know. You know, God, He knows. He's I think it's omnipotent is the one where it says He knows everything, and Satan is not. So God can read your mind basically. He knows what you're thinking because He's God. That makes sense. He created you, so it's like if you write a program, you can look into the program. Yeah, you write it. You know, you can look at it whenever you want. It's yours. You created it. But Satan is not like that, so Satan won't be able to read your mind and stuff. So if you put up a good front, he'll leave you
So
alone.
you gotta watch what you say too.
Oh yeah, because he can't hear you. You speak out loud, and your words are powerful. So if you get,
That's why Jesus always prayed out loud.
yeah, and He talks. That's what I like about this Matthew 4, because He actually says, it's kind of funny. He talks to Satan like a dog. He's like, "Go, Satan! Like, get out of here." I thought that was so funny, but he's like, "Quit annoying me." But yeah, pretty much, God can read your mind and stuff, but He still wants to know, just like a human, man. A lot of people think like, oh, He's God. You gotta treat Him like, you want to have a relationship with Him. You want to treat Him like a person, but also, you know, you gotta have respect and everything. Fear God is the beginning of wisdom, I think, is the verse. So You know, it's like you gotta have a lot of respect for him because he's God. But too, you want to have that personal. You want to just be like, oh, he's God, he's fine. He wants that relationship. And like I said, me and Ethan are not really religious in that sense. We're religious enough to do this, but it's not like every day we're going out. Like, man, probably the best example is like when I'm driving, man. I'm probably one of the meanest drivers out there. So there's still a lot of stuff we gotta work on, but you can still do that and have a good relationship with God. And it's just like a prayer, you know. He'll punish you, and He's helping you grow too. It's like a lot of times when people go through stuff, they think that they're just going through it. A lot of people won't look into it, like, why is this happening? Or is this experience, this pain, is it gonna make me a stronger person? So you actually get more powerful through pain. Just like working out, let's go back to that analogy. You get sore, you get torn up, the next time you come back stronger, and you keep doing that. So you go through the emotional pain, you go through, you know, losing this person or whatever. It might not even be like, man, like I said, a lot of people are different, so some people will handle stuff a lot better. Like, man, some people could have a family member pass and they'll be like, well, and some people will get broken up like for months just over like a simple breakup that was like in middle school. You know, so a lot of people, and I think that's one thing too, is like a lot of people try to equate their pain, and they're like, well, you haven't went through it, but they don't ever factor that people are different. So you're a warrior, and God made you more durable, and you handle stuff. You're like, well, you know, my mom died. Okay, like I'll grieve for a day or two. That's it. And then you look at someone where they just go through a breakup, and you're like, come on, dude. But that person, just they deal with stuff different, and they definitely need a cowboy up too. And there's definitely, you know, some leeway there. But definitely, when you're looking at that, try to factor that. And everyone's not different. So, when you are, or someone you know is, they're going through stuff better, they're handling stuff better. Maybe that person's different. They might, you know, handle it in their own way and stuff like that. And just try to. Like I said, it comes down to case by case, but just try to give them a little leeway if it's necessary. And, you know, a lot of times you can go with your gut feeling on it, but that's definitely a factor that a lot of people don't factor. So this Matthew 4 is called, I don't know if it's called this, but it says temptation of Jesus, and this Jesus when he was on earth. And I think it's pretty dang crazy to try to tempt Jesus, who's God, and the outcome of it would have been crazy if he would have actually went to the dark side. So Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil, and after he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. And then and the tempter came and said to him, if you are the Son of God, command that these stones become bread. But he answered and said, all of his answers are the main point I want to emphasize, because he didn't really have to, you know, he didn't have to get tempted. He's God. He didn't really have to do anything. But a lot of stuff that he did, he was actually doing it for us so he could write it down, or have Matthew write it down in this case.
So he can be the prime example.
Right.
How it should be.
It's like going back to the thing with pain and stuff. He'll put people through stuff so that way they can say, well, I've been there, and this is how you get out. So Jesus went through pretty much everything, including getting killed on a cross and getting like mauled basically by Romans and just getting treated like pretty dang bad. And you know, he was in his chonies or his underwear, or I don't
So
know.
he was naked.
Yeah. So I mean, you can imagine that's embarrassing, and then you're all covered in blood. So it's like you can imagine, you know, that struggle. But part of it was because he had to be the one without sin to take all the sin for us, so that way we don't have to sacrifice to get rid of sin, because that's kind of another topic. But God can't, he can't stand sin. He's too holy. His holiness cannot stand sin. And so basically Jesus went through it. It was a double whammy. So he went through it to show us getting persecuted and everything and how to handle it, like in this case, and also to take all of our sins, so that way that he'll be the path to heaven. But he says, what does he say? No one goes to the Father but through me. Yeah. So it was a double whammy that he was doing. But like I said, just try to, I'll say when it's his answer, just try to focus in on his answer, because those are the most insightful things in the life. So Satan asked him, if you are the Son of God, command that these stones become bread. But he answered, so this is Jesus, it is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So he's not just saying that like you don't have to eat food. Is not really what he's saying. He's saying you don't live on bread alone. So bread is, in this case, it's like I think an analogy for everything that you can.
Substance that's
yeah,
tempting you.
anything. Yeah. So your bread, because bread is not bad, right? It's just food. As it is, it's not like sin, which is
Well,
kind
and
of.
that, in fact, like if you look at it the right way, it's what you need. Like like you need bread, or like bread, food. You need food.
Yeah.
But just like with other things, like if you're a man, you have the desire for sex. I guess what I'm trying to say is just like you can have good things, which is sex and all that, but then if you don't have God in the picture, then you're doing the. If you're having sex outside of marriage, you're watching pornography.
Yeah, so that's definitely all true. And the bread too, like one big thing is money. That's real controversial. And it's like money is a tool just like bread is. So, and money is a tool like anything. So like a hammer is a tool. You can use it to build a house for someone that needs a house, or I could just,
Bash my face.
yeah. And, it's great or it's horrible. And same thing with bread, man. If you eat bread like, whole wheat bread after you work out, that's the carbs you need. That's great. But if you just sit there and eat like whole loaves of bread every day, you're going to get a little fat. So the main thing is that God's saying you don't need, man shall not live on bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. It's saying that not live on bread alone. So he's saying that you definitely need bread, you need substance, you need your job, you need your family, you need all these things, but not just that. But on every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. But you also need, in order to survive, not your physical human body, but your spiritual body. You need God in order to do that.
Just keep in mind that we're not scholars. So
Yeah,
we could
this
be
is
getting
all
this
my
completely
opinion.
wrong, but it makes sense to us.
Yeah.
So we apply it in our own life, and we feel like it lines up with what God was.
Yeah, I mean, I
thinking.
feel like God put it in my heart to
Yeah, for sure.
try to kind of help out. So, but yeah. And what made you say that after I said that? Did you?
Oh no, I'm just saying like.
You're like.
Well, no. I agree with all that, but what I'm saying
Yeah.
though, because there could be like somebody watching this who's like way high up there, but he just disagrees with us, like
Yeah.
he
That's
just
the
sees
thing,
it a
too.
different way, and that's just a great thing about the Bible. People see it different ways depending on what you're going through.
Yep, it is. It's like a chameleon of different things that you need. Like if you need whatever problems you're going through, the Bible can definitely like shift into addressing those problems. But that's another thing too, is a lot of people will use it to justify stuff, and other religions do too. Like pull out certain verses and stuff out of context, and they say like basically you can do bad stuff, but that's not the case. So you have to be real careful. So yeah, I'm glad that you said that about. This is
I just want to make it clear.
This is definitely just our opinion as two 19-year-olds. And two, if there is any debate on it, we love to debate and then just try to keep it on facts.
Prove you wrong.
It is definitely just our opinion, though. Yeah, so that was the first temptation. And two was significant as he tempts him 3 times, and that was actually by Jesus' design using Satan, because 3 is a significant number. The Holy Spirit, Jesus, and God is the Trinity, Holy Trinity. He rose on the 3rd day.
Noah had 3 sons. 3 visitors appeared to Abraham. Jonah was inside the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights.
So that's a little bit crazy too if you just hear the Bible that Jonah got eaten by a fish. But there's a lot of scientific stuff that I can get into about what that meant. It was kind of prehistoric too, so there was big freaking fish. And, yeah.
what we covered, Jesus answered 3 temptations
Right.
with 3 spiritual references. Jesus ministry lasted 3 years.
Oh, okay, he started at 30 and then he was 33 when he got crucified.
Peter denied Jesus 3
Oh,
times.
That's a big one because that was actually prophesied. So that's definitely a big one.
And 3 times Jesus affirmed his love.
Anyways, 3 is a significant number. So that was the first out of the 3. So I'm going to read his second attempt. So God's, keep in mind, or not God, but, well, God, yes. Jesus, which is a living form. And that's why a lot of Jewish people, you know what, I'm not even going to digress. I'll talk about that, why Jewish people don't believe Jesus. Then the devil took him into the holy city and had him stand on the pinnacle of the temple and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, He will command His angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone." Well, basically, Satan says that just throw yourself off the pinnacle of this temple, and if you're God, then God will protect. Well, the angels will protect you and put you down safely. And he's quoting the Bible. Actually, if you look at it, it's the Bible that he's quoting. That's why he said, "For it is written." Because and he didn't pull out the Bible. Like, Satan knows the Bible just as well as probably any human scholar, maybe as well as Jesus and God. Well, no, definitely probably not, because they read it or wrote it, but. He knows it. He definitely knows it by heart, like the whole entire Bible. So he'll use it, like I said, to justify. The Nazis were also claimed to be Christians, which obviously they weren't. If that's not obvious, then I don't know what's obvious to you, but the Nazis also would use it to twist it. So Satan is the best one at this, using the Bible to twist stuff in order to justify what he's doing.
Well, first I think he goes after the messengers, and then he'll go after the message.
Yeah.
That's why you see pastors, having affairs and all to discredit the word of God.
That's my prima. She had that happen, where her husband, she has 2 kids, he cheated on her, and he's still a pastor. So yeah, nobody's safe. And like, I'm definitely, I mean, you can kind of see that probably wasn't right, but to judge, I would definitely don't try to judge too much. But just as an example of that, he will definitely try to go after messengers as hard as he can. And then, so Satan was quoting the Bible. And this is the second out of the 3, and he tells Jesus, he takes him to the pinnacle of the temple, and he says, "You should throw yourself off, for it is written." And then he quotes the Bible. This is Satan quoting the Bible. "He will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone." Like I said, he's just basically saying, like, if you're God, the angels will protect you. And then Jesus replies, "On the other hand, it is written, you shall not put the Lord your God to the test." So that one's real great.
And also, too, from, I guess I just thought about it, but Jesus, if he would have done it, he would have been using his power for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, that's really what Satan did. Because wasn't he, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't he like a high angel?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he used his power for evil. He was like, "Oh, I can be God."
Yeah.
And in a way, I think
that's
what
kind of
he was trying to
prideful
do.
too.
Right, pride.
I mean, like, look, I could throw myself off the temple, and having pride is a sin, so he would have sinned right there. Mm-hmm. And that's all real deep. It's like, if Satan just approached you and he's like, just throw yourself off the temple, but out of it you get a little bit of pride. You're like, yeah, I'm pretty cool. I didn't say bad, but
that's how Satan works. He makes something big into something that seems like subtle.
Yeah, that seems innocent. He's like,
yeah,
you're not gonna hurt anybody or anything. Just throw yourself off. That'd be cool. And it's like, well, you get a little bit of pride, and just that subtlety. They say devil's in the details. That's very true. Because just the subtleness of it, where you think like, well, I'm not. And I think a lot of times people too, they compare themselves to the worst of the world. They're like, well, I'm not a drug dealer, or I'm not, Osama bin Laden. It's like, maybe you should probably try to compare yourself to the best. You know, because like I mean that's great that you're not that, but like that's not a very good standard to hold yourself. You know what I mean? Like
If you think
I'm
about
not
it,
the worst
yeah.
person.
Jesus doesn't see you sin way more than the other.
Oh yeah,
He
that's
sees
you.
all sin as equal.
Yeah,
So if you look at it that way, then you're just as bad as some of them.
yeah. And the main thing too is that he says we're all sinners, we all fall short. So depending on how much of a sinner you are, it doesn't matter too much. We're all sinners. And I think probably in hell there's probably be like special places for people that are worse. But as far as going to hell and everything, no, we're all sinners. We've all done stuff that makes us unholy, and yeah, that's real important. But too, what his response to that, where he basically said like, no, I'm not gonna show off. And he says, it is written, you shall not put your Lord God to the test. Now that's really important because like a lot of times when you do put in work on something, like you work out or you look for that result instantly, like within a day. You're like I probably every person that started working out, they like the day after their first day, they go and look in the mirror and they're like, what's different? Only one day. So when you're doing it in the spiritual and you can't really see too much return, a lot of people start looking for signs, or they start saying like, well, God, if you're doing this, show me a sign. Because that's biblical. He was like you remember that lamb's cloth thing? Where he like left dew? You looked that up? Like he left dew on the Israelites. He left dew all on the ground. Yeah.
Because I kind of want to say something.
Okay.
Well, there's a good example. Or our pastor told us this a while ago. Yeah, I think that was it. About that one man in some country. He went into like a lion's, in like a zoo. He climbed in like the lion's den and said, "Don't worry, God will not let me die by these lions." And then he got mauled.
Yeah.
That's not having. It's testing God. It's not having faith. So say if he like fell if he didn't mean to fall into the lion's den, then he says, "Okay, God will protect me." No, but he went in looking for. He was testing God to see if he really would protect him.
Right.
And I don't think God works that way. He's not, he's not like a dog that you can say jump and he'll jump,
Right. Just like I said, go back to the parent thing. It's like, would you tell your dad like, like just keep doing stuff for me and just keep testing him? It's like, no. I mean, he already kind of proved himself. And God's not your dad either. He's he's God. So you don't want to keep trying to like you said, show him tricks. But a lot of people get lost in the doing science thing because Judges 6. I think this is 6:36. It's Gideon, so he's one of the leaders of Israelite. And he said, because God had told him basically to go kill a bunch of people. It was the Old Testament, so that's why there's a New Testament. But basically, there was a lot of people, and they were worshiping false gods, and they were real evil, more evil than like we've even seen today. That's why he had told the Israelites to go do that. But they were completely outnumbered, and even kind of small digress, but it's worth it. There was actually things back then called Nephilim, which were when angels fell, because angels, I think we agree, and like I said, it's all opinion, but me and Eve agree that angels have free will, because just the fact that Satan had free will and he was an angel.
And he took 1/3 of all the angels.
And he took 1/3 of all the angels. So unless they're programmed to do that at some point, they have free will because they got convinced to do it and become powerful on Earth.
We'll take a wee-wee.
They came down to Earth and they reproduced forcefully, which means what you think it means, with humans, and created like superhumans that were giant. And that was part of the people that God had sent the Israelites to kill too, were these like hybrids between demon and human that were called Nephilim, and they were like between 15 and 20 foot tall. They actually found some bones and stuff. You can look it up, like Nephilim School. It's Nephilim. And that goes back to the proof that the Bible's all true. But yeah, look up Nephilim School, and yeah, so they're just abominations. So angels do have free will, and God needed to get rid of all these Nephilim because they were part demon, and all the evil people that were kind of worshiping bad stuff and just doing a lot of sinful stuff altogether. Like I said, we haven't seen it before. And so he tells Gideon to do it. He tells him to take the Israelites to go and do it. And then Gideon said to God, "If you will deliver Israel by my hand, as you have said, then behold, I will place a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. If there is dew only on the fleece and all the ground is dry, then I will know that you will deliver Israel by my hand, as you have said." And that is what happened. In other words, well, here we finish. When Gideon arose the next morning, he squeezed the fleece and wrung out the dew, a bowl full of water. So, he asked God for a sign in that case, but the main thing was God told him to do something, and he wanted a sign of it, and it was kind of a big deal. God had told him to do something, and he was going to do it, and so he asked for a sign. In that case, God gave him a sign because it was kind of a big deal. But for the most part, you don't want to put God to the test. And like I said, this is the Old Testament where Gideon's doing all this, and the New Testament where Jesus comes to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And this is Matthew, and now he's saying don't test God anymore. So Gideon did test God at the time, but now the New Testament says that you shouldn't test God. Because imagine, I know he's God, but imagine 7 billion people putting him to the test every day. It would be a little bit to handle. So that's very important. And a lot of times, especially if you're close to God, you can feel him telling you to do something, and you just want to follow it. Try not to, and then if you do ask for, for him to prove to you that that's what he wants, and he does something, don't keep asking again and again, because that's probably very rare. I know that's happened once or twice, but yeah, definitely if he does it once, and it's pretty much what you had asked, for him to prove, then you definitely want to.
Don't expect him to come from a cloud.
Yeah.
And tell you
Do it.
Personally, it'll be through something. It'll be through someone that you know that tells you.
And then the last one is again the devil, and it's kind of showing Satan's persistence, because imagine you're trying to tempt Jesus for one. But not only that, but he's already said no twice, and you're still keeping on trying to tempt Jesus. That's pretty dang persistent. So, he definitely, I think it's pretty well known, but he definitely will keep on trying to chip away, trying to get you to do what you want to do. So, you got to be on guard for that too, because if he did it to Jesus, he probably would have kept on if Jesus didn't command him not to. But, yeah, he'll definitely just keep chipping away every day. He'll be like, see? Every day you wake up and he's like, you see? And he's just chipping away, and you gotta make sure you stay solid with whatever you're trying to do. And then the last one is this is the third one. The devil takes him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world. This is the main one I want to emphasize. And their glory. And he said to him, all these things I will give you if you will fall down and worship me. So I'm not going to get to his response here just because I want to talk about that a little bit. Well, the main thing is that he did this to Jesus, and he was telling him, he can basically he can be the king of the whole world, because Satan does have domain on the earth.
In the Bible, only 2 people have been referred to as God other than God.
Yeah.
The Son of God, which is Jesus, and then Satan, which is the God of this earth. So definitely, whenever he said, "I will give you the kingdom of the earth," it definitely was his to give, and I think Jesus knew that.
Oh yeah.
Because Satan, he runs this joint that we live in. For him.
Yep. I think that was part of the draw too. We talked about that. That was part of the draw for the angels. Is being pretty powerful on earth is pretty cool. And I think even the angels know that. Just even mattering a little bit. That's what a lot of people strive for. And so the angels were like, well, I can be powerful in this region. And some of them were like, yeah, I'd rather do that than be an angel, or be like an angel of God. So,
you have to think, really, angels are just like what, soldiers?
Yeah.
For God, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So versus being able to do what you want, kind of.
Yeah.
You know,
This is,
and just being in wickedness, from our minds, from our earthly minds, that sounds a little bit better than just being a soldier, but still, like, that's just our earthly mind. It's probably
it's
way
our
complex.
sinful mind.
Well, whenever it's talking about the glory of all the kingdoms, some scholars also do say that it showed all the sins going on. So all the women, probably saw drinking.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had the marijuana back then, but they probably saw that too. I don't know if marijuana is considered a sin, but
Well, it's like drinking, right? It's
right.
like
If
because
you-
God made wine, and I'm sure God will probably,
probably a little tipsy every now.
nah. But it's like gluttony, really. Because what is gluttony? It's just overuse of anything: money, sex, drugs, whatever. So when you're an alcoholic, you're becoming sinful because you're a glutton. But it's not about like the substance itself, I wouldn't think. Also, too, your body's a temple for God, so you don't want to like destroy it. But I mean, too, like if anything, I don't want to get too much into this topic, but just like the smoking, like don't smoke it if you're gonna, you know what I mean? Because that's so bad for your lungs and everything. Like,
Especially like stuff that alters your mind. If
Yeah.
that's gonna help you break. Or so
I mean, I
say
know
if
it's
you're on-
easier.
Yeah,
It's a lot easier than a lot more other ways to do it.
Yeah, so say if you're like strong on like, so say if you have a addiction to, who knows, so say, like at parties you always hear about, whenever you're drunk, you don't remember what you did last night and you end up sleeping with someone.
Right.
That's what stuff that alters your mind does. It makes, for some reason it breaks down that barrier of, it breaks down your conscience. To where
Right.
It starts bringing in evil thoughts and it starts making
Yeah.
it easier for you to be persuaded.
That's the thing too. It's like you always hear about people like sleeping with people that they didn't want to when they're drunk. So what does that illustrate? It shows that your barriers get lowered, but not just like what you see and everything. It's all your barriers for you to do something that you would have never done. So what does that affect? It not only affects your physical body, but your emotional and spiritual self. So you definitely gotta be careful. But man, there's a lot of good, strong Christians who have a beard. I'm sure there's probably a couple that blaze up. The more harder stuff, though, I would definitely try to steer clear of, because
No heroin.
yeah, I don't think that's easy to justify or meth or
Let's
anything.
get
And
this
you don't
clear.
want to
If
do
it's
that.
illegal, yeah, that's automatically rules
Yeah.
it out. But if you're living with one of those states that it's legal,
Yeah.
then by all means, like if you feel like you feel like it's not against God's will, or God's not steering you away from that, then do it, but not to the extent to where that becomes either your idol or it makes you do stuff that you wouldn't do otherwise.
So 2 Corinthians, this is going back to just showing that Satan's there. And you can kind of see it too, like there's a lot of bad stuff that happens, and it's not really like it's like frowned upon, but it happens, keeps happening. So you see Satan's definitely the ruler of this world just by looking at our current world. But here's a verse that also says it: Satan, who is the god of this world, and God is lowercase. In case y'all don't know, it's pretty simple to me, but it might not learn that. Anytime God is referenced in the Bible, even like he or him or anything, it's always capitalized. So in this case, he's a God, but it's lowercase because he's not God. He's just a god of this world. Satan, who is the god of this world, has blinded the minds of those who don't believe. So in other words, you're blind to the spiritual aspect if you don't believe. You don't have an idea, and I think hopefully that's some of the people that are watching, is you don't even know the spiritual world. You're like, maybe you go through like a trial and tribulation and you're like, well, that sucked, and that's the extent of how much you think into it. You're not thinking about like, well, that was a demon. It's trying to bring me down. It's trying to make all my gifts worthless. It's trying to, there's so many things just past, like if you have like something happen to you, like pain or something, whatever it is. Like I say, we all have our stuff, but you gotta look into it. You gotta think outside the box with it, and you can't think of it like, you definitely don't want to get victim. Like you can grieve for sure, and that's a good process, but you don't want to let it get you down to where you're just kind of like worthless,
It's not even losing stuff, it's also gaining stuff if you're not within this, if you have no idea of the spiritual battles,
Yeah.
Say if you're starting to gain stuff that like, money, fame, or,
Yep.
just You know, you're just gaining stuff that's not
There's
it's
both
not
ends of the
godly.
spectrum.
Yeah, you know that could also be another thing that you're totally unaware of. You're like, oh, I'm getting good at life. Well,
Yeah.
no, you're getting trapped. You know, but you just don't
Right.
see it because you're not aware of it.
Yeah, you put your stock in earthly things. So like maybe in a certain case, like God will give you so many gifts, like being super charismatic, which is like outgoing, and you're a great athlete and you're articulate, which means you can speak good, and you have all these gifts. So it's like you're gonna do good. So now what is Satan's strategy with you? Well, he's not gonna try to make you feel like a bum because you'll never feel that way. You know, or it's going to be very hard, but he might try to just make you get lost in the details of being so great, which happens to a lot of dang people that are like, you know, leaders or athletes and stuff like that. It's like they pretty much have the world, but a lot of times they'll still just get caught up, and it's
You
crazy.
don't want to gain the world, but lose your soul.
Yep, that's very true. A lot of people don't see it like that, but man, they should. And so both ends of the spectrum is like if you're, you know, if you have different gifts that maybe people don't look to as much, like, you know, just being a good worker is a gift in itself because not everyone is like that, or just more simple gifts, and you start feeling like a bum. But also too, if you have these gifts that everyone glorifies now, like being a great athlete or being a great speaker, just getting caught up in your own greatness and not realizing that's just a gift from God. It's not even yours. Just the fact that you wake up every morning and you're able to put in work, because a lot of people, they do put in work on themselves, but why is that? It's because God fought a million battles to make it to where you can wake up feeling okay, to where you can go do work. So just taking all that for granted is real easy. And feeling like, oh, well, this is mine, but it's not yours. It's because God gave it to you, trusted you with it. He wants you to just do one thing, better the kingdom and help get your brothers and sisters to heaven. That's it. So, yeah, it says, Satan, who's the God of the world, blinded the minds of those who don't believe. So that's already a huge portion of like atheists and stuff. They don't even believe in God. So he's like, well, y'all are easy. Y'all are just not even gonna ever think about it. And you're gonna go to hell one day, which pretty much sucks. And then they are unable to see the glorious light of the good news, and they don't understand the message about the glory of Christ, who is the exact likeness of God. So yeah, it's just basically saying, like, you know, a huge group of people that believe in nothing. He's saying, it's like, well, I already won all them. That's easy. I'm gonna focus on people who actually are having a struggle. You know, he's like, yeah, keep thinking you're smart and there's no God. I already got you. And I think that fishing analogy, man, that was one of the best analogies I heard. That saying just like a crazy fisherman or a humaner man, because he fishes for us, and his lures are anything in the world. So it can be like, you know, what do you struggle with? That's his lure for you, because he knows that. Just like how fishermen go and study, or hunters, what does my prey eat? Where do they go during this period of time? Everything about him, right? Satan does that for us, and it's a lot easier for him because he has an army of demons. So, yeah, he does that for us. And his main goal is to be like, take someone that's like, they're a really cool person. Like, they're a dope individual. I don't know how to say it better. Just someone that's like, you know, that people admire. He wants to take them and capture them with something that's, you know, simple, like women or drugs or money, like all the typical stuff, or something else that maybe you don't even know. I mean, people get caught up in weird stuff, man. So he wants to just find a way, whatever it is, to get that person that's awesome. Just like you go hunting or something and you want to get that lion. Everybody wants to get, you know, all the hunters at least, they want to get like a big,
That 8-pointer.
Yeah.
12-pointer.
yeah, I think 12.
Oh, 12. I don't hunt.
Not a hunter. They go after the biggest, baddest things because they're like, look what and I mean, I'm sure if humans could actually like fight lions with their hands, I'm sure there'd be a lot of people. There's probably people who try anyway, but just to say like, look what I did, and show yourself off. So God just wants to get these individuals that are awesome, and they're like, you know, they're just like, everyone admires them, and he wants to say, look what I caught, look what I brought to hell. All their experiences, all that work they put in at the gym, and learning about stuff on YouTube, and reading books, and everything they did their whole life, all that it got them was a spot in hell, and I captured them. That's pretty dang crazy and messed up.
I think that's eternity too.
Yeah. That's messed up, man. Like, that's real messed up. You know, everyone's just trying to put in work. A lot of people are trying to do it for, like I said, honest things. They just want happiness and family and stuff like that. And Satan, he just wants to get you in hell however he can, you know? So, man, he's a real messed up dude. So, you definitely got to, or not dude, but spirit, you got to be definitely, like, aware of it. And know that he's the God of this earth. And make sure, like I said, meetings aren't really religious, but you gotta make sure that when you do have accomplishments, you always bring it back to God. And you're saying, you know, you gotta be humble. You look at some of these people, and they're all in the rat race. They're competing to see who can get to the top. And we're just clawing for scraps, really. Like, this earth is so messed up and broken, and all the nice stuff in it, and a lot of times it's temporary. Even if you look at it from the fact that it says that this life, this whole entire life is like the blink of an eye. So we're all just scraping for scraps compared to heaven, which is gonna be everything you ever wanted. It's probably gonna be different for people, I think, to where it's like one person's heaven is this, one person's heaven is this, and then there's a collective heaven which has it all. But it's kind of a different topic. But the main thing is, Satan just wants to keep us clawing for the scraps here on earth for the blink of an eye, which that's what the Bible says. This life is like the blink of an eye. And then get you in hell for eternity, and then you're like, he's like, okay, yeah, I gotta accomplish my goal. So definitely gotta be careful on either side of the spectrum. If you're starting to feel discouraged and you don't want to wake up, you don't want to go to work and stuff, not to buy into, you know, that you're a bum. I mean, look at all the gifts. Everybody has gifts. Like I said, just being a hard worker is a gift, because not everyone has that. There's tons of people that are not. Like, they can work hard, but it'll wear on them. You know, any attributes can be gifts, and so you can't get in your head. A lot of people get stuck in their own head thinking that they're worthless, and they start feeling like a bum. And like I said, I think the suicide rate can reflect that. And it's like, imagine all the potential and everything that got wasted just from those suicides. So the main thing about it is that Satan will use pretty much everything in this world to get you to go either one way or the other, but his main goal is just to get you to hell. And you gotta make sure you check that every day. You know, just wake up and think, like, I gotta stay on the right path, not only for God, who provided all this stuff for me, who gave me all my gifts, but for people you care about too. And the reflection of your happiness and your success that God will give you will also affect them, and it'll make them like, man, I'm sure a lot of your parents and stuff, they just want to see you successful and happy. So it's just try to stay with dude,
Back to you, bro.
I'm not gonna finish.
Okay, action.
So just remember that both sides of the spectrum, that you can get tempted, and just try to stay good. And I'm gonna block you, bro, because I can't even focus. Just try to stay doing the right thing and try to focus on God, and he'll definitely take care of you. We've seen it happen. Like, one thing I always say is there's tons of people that are successful, earthly success, but they'll end up not being happy, kill themselves, their kids will kill themselves. So you want to make sure that you don't end up like that, because that's still temporary happiness. But a lot of times, man, if you look at a true pastor, you look at true people that are with God in the Word, they'll have like the closest thing to true happiness you could see. Have a good family.
And that doesn't mean that you won't go through no trials or tribulations.
I'll probably go through the most.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the thing
Like
is,
Job. Hey, that's a whole nother story. Gotta wrap this up.
yeah.
Since we're done, I just want to go over. This is our first video, and all this crap in the background.
It's not crap. That's America, and that's actually more America.
What about those guns? Guns kill
That's
people.
America.
Guns kill people. The backwards American flag, which is disgraceful, man. I say.
It's not backwards.
It's like.
It's forward. It's a different design. It's not like bright. You want bright?
No, I'm pretty sure it's backwards. Anyway, okay,
It's
so.
flipped around, but it's the correct way a flag is supposed to be.
Why is it flipped around? Okay, anyway, not
Because
important.
it's supposed to hang
Alright,
on a
so
door, and I
what
put it on the
we
wall,
alright, so
and the way it was on the
this
door.
is our
didn't
first.
make
Okay,
sense.
well, we can have the American flag in the
It was
background.
backwards.
We'll make it look nice, okay? So
Okay.
this door is not. This door is not gonna be here. You know,
You left it open.
we're gonna get a studio going, okay?
left it
We're gonna make it look nice. We're gonna have actual professional microphones, you know.
I still have to use that. If you could take it easy, that'd be great.
We're gonna have. All right, so yeah, we're gonna update it. We're gonna make this look nice. This is only our first video. Until then, God be with you. Shalom.
Dude, that's Jewish. We'll figure it out, but if you did like it, then let us know any feedback that you would recommend. Man, we're gonna start getting trolls though if we really do
I
it.
can already like.
There's
feel
probably
it.
a lot of things, bro. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, probably everyone's gonna turn it off after like 30 seconds. So if you made it this far, then dang. Alrighty.
Until then.
Gracias.